Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to RSW Creatives. Today I want to show you how to make these beginner little felted roses. These are so cute and so easy to do. You can make these up in no time and then have a container full, and that way when you have a project later on that you maybe want to add a rose to, you just have to get in the container and grab whichever color you want. You can play with these. You could combine different colors of wool, make some variegated, some pinks and blues, maybe a lavender rose. That would be really pretty. But they're super simple to make. Basically, you're going to need a tube of wool like this, and you're going to need 4 small petals, and then you will need 4 larger petals. Now you can make these any size that you want to make them. You can put multiple layers. You can make them smaller, like this little red one is. You can make them bigger with more layers on here. You can make these flowers as big as you want. Anyhow, so we're going to start with our core wool, which we are using living felt core wool in the same color as this. It's called honeysuckle, and this is probably my favorite core wool ever, is what's from living felt. Your tools, you're going to need your felted surface. You're going to need your needles. I'm using my standby, my 42 triangle, and I also have my 40 triangle for finishing. And I also have a standard, this is a needle from Amazon. It's size small, so that's pretty much what you need. So we're going to start out with a piece of core wool, not huge. This is about 5 inches. And we're going to start rolling this up into a tube like this. That's a little small, so I'm going to give it a little stretch. And then we're going to needle felt this into a tube. Now don't needle felt it flat. Don't make it flat. You want to keep the tube part because that's what's going to shape your flower. So while you're doing this, whichever end you want to be the center of your flower, this part right here is what we're after. So I think it's going to be this end right here. So let's felt this in. Now you can get detailed on this end tip if you would like to do that. The center of roses is actually very, very detailed, but for this project, we're just going to get you going. Now this back end, I'm going to leave this a bit fuzzy because if you're going to felt this into a project, you're going to need this fuzz to use to felt. So there's our center. For petals, this is a pretty easy thing to do. It's the same method, whether it's a petal or let's say it's a dog ear, a bunny ear. It all comes down to the same method. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of core like this for the small ones, and we're going to take and we're going to fold this over. Now if you shape this a bit like that, you have your petal form right here, and we're going to felt this rounded part. Now you could use a clover tool here and make this flat. If not, just keep stabbing a little bit. Just remember to lift off, especially these foam pads, because you can actually put a hole. I have a student who did that, and they literally put a big hole in their felting mat because they didn't lift off. Now here again, if you don't want flyaways or any of the fuzzies on there, you can take your scissors and trim this off. But this part leave, this end, and there's your petal. Now the bigger petals, just get a larger piece and do the same process. So on this stem, we're going to take this little petal right here at the top and we're going to wrap it right here. Now I'm going to stab this in, but don't stab this flat. You want to keep the roundness of your tube. And there goes my foam. And we're going to do this. So you have one on. So you should have at least four of these. Now when you place these petals, you can put these two like this and then put the other two on the sides. Now I like to overlap these petals like this. And you tack this in. Just remember to keep the roundness of your tube. And then we'll get another little petal that we have pre-made. And you can make these petals up ahead of time. You can pause the video and make, ouch, oh yeah, woo-wee, the dangers of needle felting. Woo, got myself. And this is why they make finger guards. And if you do that a lot, I would advise finger guards, but I haven't stabbed myself in a long time. And then we'll take our last one and we'll put that right here. And you're literally overlapping these petals one at a time, keeping your shape, stabbing this in, and there is the center of your flower, like this. And honestly, you just keep layering your petals around and around. So if you take the bigger petals that we made earlier, which is same concept, just take a little bit more wool, fold it over. And where these two have joined right here, I want to take and put the rounded part of this petal and overlap this part here. So here's where our two petals crossed, and here's where the new one comes in. So we'll do the same thing. And we're going to tack this in. At this point, I'm going to switch and get my 40. Now you can add leaves, you can add, you could actually, once you're done, you could actually take hot glue and put a few little drops of hot glue on your petals, and it'll look like dewdrops. Make your roses look a little bit more authentic and real. You can get some green and make leaves in the same method. Make them a little longer or pointed, and then add leaves to your roses. Now see here again, we've got, here's where one petal ends, here's this one. So then we're going to take and overlap this one here. And then you form this in. It's probably one of my favorite crafts is needle felting. I love taking a pile of wool and turning it into something else. And honestly, you can keep going and going and going and going on these. You can make a huge one if you really wanted one. Or you can make them a little smaller and put a birch pin to it. These are great ways to decorate Christmas gifts. Add it to a gift tag, or you could fix these on headbands for little girls. And there you have, you can spread these little petals out like this. And there you have a felted rose. A nice easy project. Nothing major, nothing hard. Sometimes it's the easy things that'll bring you the most pleasure. So there is a nice little felted rose. I am so glad you guys have joined me today.